The opinions and views expressed by individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of this network, their group, or other organization they may be involved with.
I'm looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of Tuesday evening news. Tuesday evening
It's me. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Psychedelic Reporters this Tuesday, the 16th episode. Holy fuck, we're at a lot of them. Here on NOK Network, the video news podcast focus on psychedelic medicine being reported in mainstream media. My eyes moved on me. Shout out to the guys in Dead Ringer from Kirkland Lake, Ontario, for the awesome intro track, originally recorded by the Moody Blues, with some customized changes for our show. I am joined by my amazing joint hosts, Tara Simpson, along with the Buffo of Various. Oh, wow, she's got a screen lock and I can't read my lines anymore. Gosh, damn it. Oh, okay. Hello, Tara.
Hello, hobbies, and hello, everyone. I'd like to take a minute to introduce Buffo. He is our Sonoran desert toad, or Colorado mud toad. Did you know he emits DMT from his skin? And while that sounds like fun, park rangers would like to remind everyone, please don't lick that toad.
Don't lick the toad. Oh, I think I skipped. Buffos chose all the news for us. And if you don't like it, fucking email him. Kim's sick of getting your trash talk. Oh, just kidding. We got a pretty busy thing, and it's our last show, man, for like a whole year.
I know the year's gone by so fast, hobbies. And then we're off for a few weeks.
Oh, awesome! Is this our second year or our first full year?
You would have to find out from Kim because it feels like we've been doing this for more than a year, but maybe not quite 2 years. I don't know if I came in partway through a year, maybe. But yeah, it's definitely been a year.
Awesome. And we're going to jump right into, and thank you so much for being my other. So ALEC.org. What the hell is ALEC.org, you ask? American Legislative Exchange Council. And they write some push for FDA approval of psychedelic treatments for veterans. ALEC in the center square at ALEC State and Nation Policy Summit. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry and Americans for Ibogaine CEO Brian Hubbard unite to advance support for veterans. Am I the only one that sees, since he's right over there, me getting high with Rick Perry? Oh, go ahead. My bad. I got distracted. This is written by Hope Tibble.
It's weird because this article, okay, I've got it up on my phone, but it doesn't seem to be the same one. So where did I find that one in the list? It says alec.org, but it keeps taking me. Oh, there we go. There we go. It came up this time, I think. Ah, there we go. Hey. Anyways, at ALEC State and Nation Policy Summit, from former Texas Governor Rick Perry delivered a compelling address highlighting the life-saving potential of ibogaine therapy for veterans struggling with post-traumatic stress. He emphasized Texas leadership in advancing his innovative evidence-based treatment and encouraging lawmakers nationwide to champion policies that expand hope, healing, and opportunity for American veterans. Center Square reporter Andrew Rice recently covered Perry's remarks in a detailed report. State leaders across the country are pushing for medical trials of psychedelic drug ibogaine to treat neurological conditions. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry spoke at an American Legislative Exchange Council's State and Nation Policy Summit on Thursday to push for clinical trials of the psychedelic drug. Perry pointed to the positive benefits for veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder. This is a compound that God gave us that is showing extraordinary ability to free people from post-traumatic stress, literally break addictions, Perry said. Ibogaine is a compound found in the African shrub iboga. In the United States, ibogaine is a Schedule I drug and is not approved for therapeutic use. Earlier this year, Texan lawmakers approved $50 million to conduct clinical trials on ibogaine. The effort appeared to be aimed at receiving medical approval for the drug from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. We need other states to be partners in this, said Perry. How bad do you got to hate somebody to not make this available?
Can you go another one? Wait. That's almost short. All right, where are we?
A 2024 Stanford medical study found that ibogaine provided veterans with relief from depression, anxiety, and poor functioning symptoms.
You can keep on going. I can't see it.
Oh, okay. Brian Hubbard, CEO of Americans for Ibogaine, called for greater use of the psychedelic, particularly for veterans. He said, mental health challenges and post-traumatic stress particularly affect veterans across the country. Since 2000, roughly 480,000 military service members have sustained traumatic brain injuries, according to the Defense and Veterans Brain Injury Center and RAND's Invisible Wounds of War project. These Special Forces veterans and their families have discovered that our government commodifies problems that it is supposed to solve by monetizing sustained human misery, Hubbard said. Hubbard cites efforts in Alabama, Idaho, South Carolina, Kentucky, Maryland, Mississippi, Tennessee, New Hampshire, Oklahoma, and Vermont to increase funding for ibogaine studies and achieve FDA approval. In 2024, Kentucky lawmakers considered allocating funds to support research of ibogaine, but backed off after pushback from doctors. Mark Haganey, a cardiologist, told Kentucky commissioner that he did not believe ibogaine was safe for FDA approval.
Yeah, so however, after Texas approved the funding, Kentucky lawmakers have the renewed interest in funding proposals. See, that really, they for years were saying, oh no, we can't do it. But now that somebody else is doing it and getting money, now they're going to fucking do it. Anyways, FDA Commissioner Marty Makery and U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. have appeared to display support for exploring psychedelic drug options to treat post-traumatic stress disorders. This one is our top priorities at the FDA, to listen to doctors, to listen to patients, and to make sure we don't get in the way of red tape, Makery said about the use of psychedelic treatments. I'm going to challenge you to have the courage to join Texas and other states so that we have this massive effort all across the country because you change people's lives, Perry said to attendees to Alec's policy conference. Thank you, Andrew Rice, for writing that. All righty. So I like that. That was good.
That was good.
So I'm interested because, like I said, Texas did it. So now Louisiana is looking at it. And I'm hoping us puppets get to hang out with Rick Perry now.
Wouldn't that be kind of cool, eh?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, we know that ibogaine has had a lot of success outside of mainstream. This has been a treatment option for many people. There's facilitators currently doing it in the underground and helping people. So the fact that they're now starting to study it, hopefully we'll see some actual, clinical trials and then maybe actual treatment centers for people, because I think we could help so many more people than what we're doing already.
Amen, amen. So speaking of what people are doing, marijuanamoment.net wrote Alaska Psychedelics campaign ends push to put legalization on 2026 ballot, but they're shifting focus to 2028. And this is written by Kyle Yeager.
Yeah, an Alaskan campaign says it failed to collect enough signatures to put an initiative to legalize certain psychedelics such as psilocybin and DMT on the state's 2026 ballot. But activists are emphasizing that the work is far from over as they shift focus to placing the reform measure before voters in 2028. About 3 months after state officials cleared Natural Medicine Alaska to collect signatures for the initiative, the campaign announced on Wednesday that despite months of tireless work, they were unable to gather enough signatures to put the Alaska Natural Medicine Act on the 2026 ballot. Throughout this effort, we submitted initial signatures, mobilized volunteers across Anchorage and the Valley, the Kenai Peninsula, Haines, Juneau, and communities statewide, and built strong grassroots momentum. It said, even with these tremendous efforts, we have determined that we will not reach the full signature threshold to qualify the Alaska Natural Medicines Act for the 2026 ballot. That's actually kind of sad because, you would think that they'd be able to collect enough signatures.
Right. And, Alaska's different. So, mental health is different. And natural medicines, natural medicines could help that.
Well, and they're out there, they tend to live more off the land and have that sense of, that what's good for us is natural. So it's odd that they weren't able to get enough signatures. And I don't know if that's just they don't have enough people, couldn't reach enough people because of the remoteness of the communities. I don't know.
Yeah, unless they threw a big party everybody came to and signed the paper. A spokesperson for the campaign told Marijuana Moment on Wednesday that organizers collected more than 10,000 signatures during the relatively short window to qualify the initiative for next year, but they won't have to start over again to make the ballot in 2028, as those petitions will still be good towards roughly 35,000 needed to qualify. So now they only need 25,000.
Yeah, so that's actually not too bad. And again, considering that's a pretty remote part of the world, there's a lot of very remote areas you can't get to certain times a year. I'm sure there's challenges for their volunteers who are out trying to get these signatures, and then people maybe not being home because, I don't know, they're out hunting or they're out fishing or, working
Getting ready
in
for
some
the
remote
year.
area, right? So there's a lot of challenges to Alaska that way, I think. We are
So,
what's that?
oh, go ahead.
We are profoundly grateful to everyone who gathered signatures, donated, volunteered, or helped spread the word. The campaign said, your dedication and passion have meant more than we can express, and we want to be clear, we are not giving up. Alaskans deserve safe legal access to natural medicines for therapeutic and traditional use, and the freedom to make choices about their health with dignity, safety, and respect. Therefore, we are formally announcing that we are shifting focus to the 2028 ballot cycle. While we won't appear on the 2026 ballot, we will remain fully on track for 2028, and we will continue moving towards the determination, focus, and the support for our community. Natural Medicine Alaska said this movement is gaining momentum every day. In fact, over 65% of Alaskans support this initiative, and that number continues to grow. An earlier policy outline from the campaign explained that the proposal of the Building Off Colorado Voter Approved 2022 Natural Medicine Health Act, under which facilitators recently administered the state's first legal dose of psilocybin. In addition to establishing licensed psychedelic industry in the state, the Alaska measure would legalize non-commercial use, cultivation, and sharing of DMT, non-peyote, mescaline, psilocybin, and psilocin among adults 21 years and older, a so-called grow, gather, gift model, popular among psychedelic reform proponents. The measure shifts away from the restrictive healing center model, allowing individual practitioners to provide natural medicine in their offices and at their home, facilitation, increasing accessibility in remote rural communities, and that are common in Alaska. The organizer's policy outline said. That's pretty cool.
It is. It is. It sounds really good. I like this because it states cultivation would need to take place in a space no larger than that of 12 feet by 12 feet and remain out of public view. And growers would be required to take reasonable steps to prevent access by minors. Transfers of psychedelics between adults, meanwhile, would need to occur without any form of payment. Public consumption of the substance would be forbidden, subject to a civil fine of $100. On the commercial side, Alaska would license healing centers where certified facilitators would supervise psychedelic administration, as well as testing labs, cultivation facilities, product manufacturers, handlers, and other related businesses. Traditional healers would be more protected under the proposed initiative for ceremonial, spiritual, or cultural use of plant medicines throughout legal exemptions to state drug laws. They would not need to hold a state license, the proposal set, but must be certified or credentialed as a traditional practitioner. The system would be overseen by a natural medicine control board, a regulatory and quasi-judicial agency that would be housed within the Department of Commerce, Community of Economically Development. What the fuck? It would include members from the public safety and public health sectors. Okay, that was what I was looking for, as well as someone from the rural area, a representative of the natural medicine industry, an Alaska native traditional healer, a professional practitioner of psychedelic assisted therapy, and someone either from the general public or the natural medicine industry. Huh.
Yeah, a separate natural medicine advisory committee consisting of 15 members would make recommendations around the program. That body would include mental health professionals, natural medicine therapists, or researchers, tribal representatives, a physician, military veteran, a first responder, healthcare experts, and others. As for traditional use, the measure would also create a traditional use council to develop best practices and education materials around Indigenous-based psychedelic use and harm reduction principles. That would include a separate credentialing or certification process that may include consideration of lineages, apprenticeship, community recognition, and cultural practice rather than formal clinical or academic training. A poll last year found that nearly half of Alaska residents would support a ballot measure and more broadly remove criminal penalties for using substances such as psilocybin mushrooms. That support rose markedly to nearly 2/3, 65%, when participants were told that Alaska has high rates of mental illness that could potentially be treated with psychedelics. Last year, Alaskan lawmakers passed legislation to create a state task force to study how to license and regulate psychedelic-assisted therapy. The measure took effect without the signature of Governor Mike DeLevy, Republican. So far, 2 other states have facilitated psychedelic programs that are fully operational. Oregon voters legalized therapeutic psilocybin in 2020, and Colorado's program was passed at a ballot box in 2022, with the state's governor signing legislation a year later to create a regulatory framework for the program. Separately, in Alaska, a federal judge ruled in June that state officials did not violate the Constitution when restricting intoxicating hemp products in 2023. I don't know why they needed to throw that shit in there. That had nothing to do with it. Right?
That's funny. So it'd be nice to see Alaska do it. It's a state off. Everybody moves there for, like what you said, home medicine remedy, living on the grid, living on your earth. Yeah.
Absolutely. A vast majority of people who go to Alaska that weren't born and raised there, that's exactly how they're going there to live, is to live off the grid, live off the land, live that rough lifestyle, but live a healthy lifestyle, because everything they're taking is from the earth, and they're preserving, and they're canning, and they're smoking fish, and they're, like doing all the things they need to do to survive in an off-grid situation with what resources are available to them. Because again, food is scarce, and what does come into the grocery stores is limited and expensive and probably not so good for you. So they are homesteading there. I've seen so much of it.
Oh yeah. So now, back in the lower states, our next article before break is signalohio.org. Ohio Republicans didn't stamp out legal weed. What? And now are studying the psychedelic. I think didn't just stamp out legal, or I don't know. That don't make no damn sense. Ohio politics, news and insights from the State Signals newsletter, plus a bill to tighten regulations on Ohio recovery home gets an overhaul. This is written by Jake Zuckerman and Andrew Tobias.
Okay, so have Ohio lawmakers learned to love drugs? The year was 2023. While the most salient issue on the off-year ballot was a constitutional guarantee of abortion access, Ohio voters also had their second crack at legalizing adult-use marijuana, an idea lawmakers had snubbed for years. The citizens drafted law passed 57-43. It's like abortion access was a clear winner among people. Matt Huffman, an influential Republican who was then the Senate president, is now the Speaker of the House, was among the crowd that wasn't about to light up in celebration. He issued a bitter statement on election night. This statute was written by the marijuana industry and should not have been treated as a cash grab for their cash crop at the expense of the state trying to emerge from the opioid epidemic. Huffman said at the time, the General Assembly may consider amending the statute to clarify the questionable language regarding limits for THC and tax rates, as well as other parts of the statute. Fast forward this week, Republicans in the General Assembly sent Governor Mike DeWine their first significant drug policy overhaul since Issue 2 passed. If DeWine signs it, Ohioans will be able to walk into a dispensary, buy a joint of either marijuana or intoxicating hemp, and smoke it in their homes. They can also stop at a grocery store or bar on the way home for a drinkable cannabinoid product until 2026. You can read Jake's write-up on the Senate's passage vote here. That's not to say everyone is happy. Marijuana advocates and Democrats criticizing the legislation for reviving varying criminal penalties around certain conduct involving marijuana. The hemp industry must now undergo the regulatory and tax rigmarole of the dispensary model. That said, Ohioans can still buy their drugs. The Republican establishment didn't exactly legalize marijuana this week, but they passed legislation that didn't slam the door on either in a state that still classifies the drug as marijuana in the law books. In the repeal is noteworthy in itself. Interesting.
So ibogaine in the membrane. I like the sound of that. Ibogaine in the membrane. Oh, anyways, marijuana wasn't only drug of choice at one Capitol Square this week. The Ibogaine Treatment Study Committee had its first hearing this week, studying its namesake drug, which comes from a compound found in the roots of African iboga shrub. The drug is known to produce an intense psychedelic trip, but preliminary research with extremely small sample size has suggested its potential in treating substance use disorders, post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and mild traumatic brain injuries. The drug has developed some perhaps unlikely believers, including Ohio Treasurer Robert Sprague. Last year, Sprague hired Brian Hubbard, the current CEO of Americans for Ibogaine, as a consultant in Rex and an Ohio-based national GOP consultant whose anti-overdose advocacy organization has worked with Hubbard. The committee is chaired by Representative Justin Pizzulli, a Scioto County Republican representing one of the hardest hit counties in America by the opioid epidemic. Pizzulli, a younger and new member of the General Assembly, wrote the amendment in the state budget that established the committee. It produced a report on clinical uses of ibogaine by December 1, 2027. And he said the committee will bring in physicians, scientists, patients, including many veterans, who will convince even the non-believers, even those doubters. His vice chair, Ohio Senator Steph Huffman, cousin of Speaker Huffman, and a licensed physician with years of practice as a both lawmaker and a doctor. Huffman called himself skeptical about the lack of research into ibogaine and its potential use, but said he's keeping an open mind. He said he doesn't think there's much interest from the House Speaker or Senate President on ibogaine. And he doesn't think there's a culture change among lawmakers around drug policy so much as lawmakers heeding public demand shown for recreational marijuana. The people really wanted it. 60% of the people voted for it. But I believe that if you walked out there today and asked 100 people what ibogaine is, I don't think you'd find one of them, he said. I don't like marijuana. I want good marijuana policy. I think it's bad for the youth. I don't care to use it, but people choose to do that, and I think I have an obligation as you can and think the same obligation. Before you read the next paragraph, I want to clarify. You can't fucking take these things and compare them to each other because of their own fucking different properties.
Absolutely. And again, he already has a stance that like he doesn't like marijuana. He doesn't understand why people want it. Like, so it really doesn't impact him in any way. And he's already anti this and anti that. So at the end of the day, is he really going to be all that happy if everything passes? But he kind of said to each their own, right? So, which again, if it's not for you, cool. But, you should support it for other people. Even if it's not for you. Obviously you don't need it then, right? But other people might, and helping other people is important. So recovery home legislation overhaul. There's many aspects of drug policy that deal with life and death issues, including the long-standing aftermath of the opioid epidemic in Ohio. Andrew published a story this week about a judge's recent order requiring a Portsmouth company to cease recovery housing services at 7 locations in Staccato County. The ruling followed a state lawsuit that accused Steps Wellness and its owner of failing to register in a mandatory state database. Signal mentioned the company as part of a broader article in September highlighting Staccato County officials' challenges in regulating fast expanding recovery homes, which provide a sober environment for people struggling with addiction. Pizzuli has introduced legislation, House Bill 58, meant to tighten regulations on the industry. The bill stalled in committee after opposition from addiction treatment advocates and industry providers who say the challenges would stifle the state's recovery efforts. Pizzuli and his co-sponsor, Columbus Representative Donavitas Gerals, overhauled the bill last month in response to those concerns. The new version would increase state oversight of recovery homes, form a task force to make recommendations for the industry standards, require courts that transport criminal defendants for out-of-town drug treatment to pay for the return trip home of any defendant who fails treatment, give local prosecutors authority to sue recovery home operators that fail to comply with state standards. In an interview, Pizzuli said the changes came in response to concerns raised by advocates and recovery providers. He said he now expects the bill will have the support it needs to get committee approval sometime next year, which would set it up for a vote by the full House. To my knowledge, I've whipped the votes, and we have the votes to pass it. Pizzuli said, "I hope we pass it."
Yeah, so the rest is in the news and whatnot, but that was pretty much
that's pretty cool.
But wow, man, it's I hear a lot of people complain right now that are in the marijuana business, people that have went to school to learn, to trade, and all that, and now all their politicians are not with them, so now their careers could be at jeopardy, their everything, and so for them to do an ibogaine thing as well, I'm like, what the fuck? If you can't even respect the natural medicine you already voted on, that your constituents voted on, what makes us think that you're gonna respect their thoughts and their healing processes using ibogaine?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's medication time.
That is right, folks. It's time to pay some bills. So stay tuned for a word from some of our amazing sponsors, and then we'll return with more articles UFO has chosen making mainstream media news.
Back in 4 minutes and 20 seconds here on Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network.
Hey, hi, my name is John Mark, aka Sublimator Warrior, and I would like to welcome you to Smoke Signal in Tyndinaga.
One dab make your whole dome drip sweat. One dab make the homies all dip set. One dab, only really need one dab. One dab.
Smoke Signal is a medical dispensary where you can get all your products and needs.
Vaping a whole bunch. Might just start laying off the blunts. God. Ooey, ooey, gooey, that's a sticky dab. Sticky dab. Might just have to put this one on Instagram. Go and hold it in, feel it in your ribs.
So come and check us out in Tyndinaga. 55 Highway 49 in Tyndinaga. It's on the res, and we're open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week.
Now we get back to the show.
And we're back from our medication session live here on Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network.
Damn, I'm like not prepared today. Hold on. And we're back. Oh, wait, that's yours. And we have another set of stories that you coming from the realm of psychedelic medicine. So let's get at it. Let's do this shit. Okay, so this comes from reason.org, and it states, Massachusetts bill offering a pathway toward expanded psychedelic access, embracing the promise of psychedelic therapies like psilocybin would place Massachusetts at the forefront of this new wave of evidence-informed reform. And this is written by Caitlin Blacker, government affairs specialist.
Yeah, states across the country are advancing legislation to safely expand access to psilocybin with impressive results. Oregon and Colorado have implemented regulated psilocybin programs that include licensed service centers, product testing, and facilitator training. New Mexico just approved legislation to authorize limited medical psilocybin access for patients with qualifying conditions. Lawmakers in Arizona, California, Iowa, Illinois, New Jersey, New York, Missouri, and Washington continue to seriously consider multiple proposals for psilocybin regulation and access. These efforts, like the proposals contained within Massachusetts H2203 and H4200 represent the growing movement from criminalization to sensible regulation grounded in public health and harm reduction. Legislatures are acting for several key reasons. Mental health crisis. Conventional treatments are often costly, inaccessible, or ineffective for conditions like post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety, addiction, and chronic pain. Strong safety and efficacy signals. Peer-reviewed research increasingly supports psilocybin's potential therapeutic benefit. Public support in decriminalizing and safe access policies, enjoying increasing bipartisan support and policy innovation. With limited federal action, states are designing novel framework that balance access, safety, and oversight.
So, promise of psychedelic assisted therapy. Over the past decade, medical and scientific communities have increasingly recognized the potential of psychedelic therapies for the treatment of intractable mental health conditions. Clinical evidence suggests that certain psychedelic-based therapies are more effective than the conventional treatments for various mental health disorders. Current treatment options frequently have efficacy rates in the low teens. Earlier this year, the U.S. National Network of Depression Centers released a consensus statement calling for expansion into funding research in a large-scale studies to explore the promise of psychedelic-assisted treatments. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has granted psilocybin breakthrough therapy designation twice. First in 2018 for treatment resistant depression, and again in 2019 for major depressive disorder. This status is specifically designed to expedite the regulatory review of drug demonstrating substantial and super treatment potential over existing options for serious unmet medical conditions. As of 2025, 2 psychedelic substances, psilocybin and MDMA, for treatment of PTSD in 2017 have already received breakthrough therapy designations. There are currently 14 active FDA phase 2 or phase 3 psilocybin clinical trials underway. Psilocybin-assisted therapies have shown long-lasting favorable changes in well-being, attitude, and personality within only 1 or 2 session doses. Robust research suggests these therapies could treat a range of disorders, many with limited or largely ineffective treatment options, including anxiety and terminal illnesses, certain neurodegenerative disease, obsessive compulsive disorder, and drug dependency, in addition to their FDA recognized potential in treating depression. In 2024 article, the academic journal Brain Sciences reviewed a dozen high-quality studies on the therapeutic effects of psilocybin administration, concluding a quantitative analysis of the studies indicate that psilocybin is highly effective in reducing depressive symptoms severity among patients with primary major depressive disorder or treatment-resistant depression. Both single-dose and 2-dose psilocybin treatments significantly reduce depressive symptom severity, with 2-dose administrative sometimes yielding more pronounced and lasting effects. Oh, there's cold.
Oh, poor hobbies. Generally, psilocybin is said to have the best safety profile of any psychedelic substance. Psilocybin has low physiological toxicity, low risk of abuse or addiction, and no linked persistent harm, psychological or physiological effects during or after use, according to years of anecdotal data as well as modern scientific investigations. Psilocybin overdose is also exceedingly rare. In a 2017 PubMed study found that of the 9,232 psilocybin users, only 19, which is 0.2%, reported seeking emergency medical treatment. They sought help mostly due to the psychological symptoms, anxiety, paranoia, with poor mindset or poor setting, and mixing substances as the most reported reason for incidents. All but one patient returned to normal within 24 hours, and all patients recovered within 7 days. So that's speaking some volumes there, to be honest. I mean, really, it's more that they scared the shit out of themselves because they took too much in the wrong environment or didn't know what they were doing. But none of them obviously needed like to be intubated or detoxed or like, it's mushrooms, people. A facilitated access model provides safety without costly overregulation. Both bills would establish a pilot program for facilitated therapeutic access to psilocybin. This approach blends regulated adult use with public health safeguards, allowing individuals to access psilocybin in a structured, informed environment that includes support, screening, and education without requiring full clinical supervision. Ultimately, this model would avoid the cost barriers of strictly medicalized system while creating accountability through licensed providers, required education, and robust tracking. The conclusion: clinical research of psilocybin and other psychedelic substances is a rapidly emerging field that is quickly changing the landscape of mental health across the country. States retain the authority to expand access to these substances through their own laws, like pioneers in Oregon, Colorado, and New Mexico, responding to public health interests. Embracing the promise of psychedelic therapies like psilocybin would place Massachusetts at the forefront of this new wave of evidence-informed reform. Recognizing the therapeutic value of new treatments will avoid the extremes of prohibition or unregulated use, instead of offering a practical public health-based pathway to safe, equitable psilocybin access. Yeah, that's pretty good, eh?
Yeah.
Pretty much sums up what we've been saying for so long, that this needs to be done, right? Like,
it does. It does. And the healthy way, you know, and I'll admit it. So we have a family friend whose daughter has bought opioids. So when Mr. Hobbies was legally growing weed in Upper Michigan, and he was talking about his medical and using it for medical, she's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, sure. That's what we need is another drug. Look how my daughter just used even the healing drugs." And she had a good point. Like, she's done with substituted another drug, but because of the opioids and the oxycontins and the methadones and all the 4 drugs that she had to take to get off of the harder drugs, she's done with fucking drugs.
Absolutely. And I can speak from experience. I mean, as a chronic pain patient with anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder since 2012, right? Like, I've been through the ringer. That's when I became a cannabis patient, because of everything I was going through with all the pharmaceuticals and trying to figure out what I was even on and why, and it wasn't working. I still was no better off. And then trying to get off of all of these substances that they had put me on, where they were like, "Oh, just, take half the dose for a week and then go off of it." Don't ever do that. If your doctor ever tells you how to come off a drug and it's like, take this for like 2 weeks and then just go cold turkey, I'm telling you, even with pharmaceuticals, they don't have to even be opioids. They can be antidepressants. They can be, pretty much any medication you put into your body wants to then continue having, right?
Yep.
Because it's used to having it. So the withdrawal can be very, very serious, and not just physically, but mentally, and can land you in the hospital if you don't do it right.
Yep.
So that's where psychedelics for me came in, withdrawing from most of my meds via cannabis and tapering. There were some I could not get off of, but microdosing with psilocybin really played a key role in mitigating the side effects of the withdrawal from the tapering I was doing, because even small tapers were making me incredibly ill and heebie-jeebie and, not myself. So it took some trial and error, but it is a thing, and I can't wait to see more studies come out on how it's actually helping people to get off of things they don't need to be on.
So this is our last article before the spring break or holiday break. Comes out of India. The Times of India. Goa Forensics University trains grads on emerging psychedelics. Times News Network.
Yeah, so this is an interesting thing. So Panaji, to tackle the challenges posed by newly evolving psychedelics, the National Forensic Sciences University, Goa, held a training for its students and faculty on international best practices in forensic analysis of psychedelics and associated paraphernalia. NFSU campus director Naveen Kumar Chowdhury said the training will equip students and faculty to deal with the challenges and their implications for investigation and enforcement in India's western coastal region. The seminar on biotoxicology of forensic psychedelics was delivered by Jean Tygat from KU Leuven, Belgium, a globally respected authority in forensic toxicology. Continue reading. Hang on. The seminar offered insight into the identification of psychedelic substances and paraphernalia in criminal investigations, advanced analytical and toxicological detection approaches, and medical legal considerations associated with synthetic psychoactive compounds. Emerging challenges in dealing with newly evolving psychedelics were also discussed. This event aims to raise awareness about international best practices in the forensic analysis of psychedelics and associated paraphernalia, said Chowdhury. Dean Academics Loshesh Cowan, I hope I said that right. These experts led sessions, empowered students with real world forensic insight and elevate the academic ecosystem at NFSU Goa. Wow, that's kind of neat.
It is. N.P. Wegmeyer, a professor of practice, said that such knowledge-driven interactions are crucial for strengthening scientific understanding and investigative readiness in NDPS Act cases where precise toxicology evaluation is essential. The event coordinator and assistant professor at NSFU, Sweden D, said that such international academic collaborators are vital in enhancing forensic education and capability building. And FSU Goa campus was inaugurated on October 14, 2021. Currently offers 4 specialized programs in the forensic sciences and cybersecurity, integrated BSc, MSc Forensic Science, MSc Forensic Science, MSc Digital Forensics and Information and Scrutiny, and MSc Cybersecurity. This campus also conducts training programs to promote forensic best practices, particularly in Goa and Western regions. Wow. So India's got it going on.
Yeah, it seems like they're doing more like to train doctors, maybe, like in case there's death or something, or somebody's like overdosed. Like, I don't quite get what they're doing with this whole seminar. I thought it was more to like these are the types of mushrooms people are taking, and these are the things that it can help with. But it sounds like they're doing like forensic stuff with it. So I'm not quite sure what that's all about.
They're understanding the properties of it and learning how to deal with it in a way as it was, so they could come in and deal with it correctly. And to me, they're educating themselves on something that everybody's starting to learn. So India, how many Indian doctors do you know from India that come over here to America and are great fucking doctors? This is why.
Yeah, well, I mean, the more they educate themselves in all aspects of healthcare, not just pharmaceutical healthcare, but, you know, diet, nutrition, exercise, like all of those things, and even natural remedies, the better they're going to be able to treat their patients.
Well, hey, it was the end of the year. It's celebration time. Time to get all blitzed up and enjoy your family or hide yourself in the freaking closet until after the holiday. With that being said, thank you for joining us here on Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network, and for tuning in to our video podcast on NOK Network's Rumble and YouTube pages, as well as our social media sites.
That's right, folks. We hope you've enjoyed your update today of mainstream media coverage of psychedelic news and medicine advancements from around the globe.
Many thanks to our sponsors and to my joint hosts, Tara Simpson and Bufo of Barrios, for making this show possible. And to you, our listener, for joining each week on Psychedelic Tuesdays. Let's hear from Dead Ringer again from Kirkland Lake, Ohio! That was my Kermit impression. Well, without the voice.
Peace, everyone.
Reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of